Hey guys, welcome back to another great tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to go over box fight settings. Yes, box fight settings. I want to make sure you guys are building the perfect box fight map. So I want to go over the settings in detail to make sure that you understand what all of them mean and how they are going to make your map better. Let's go one by one through this process and get this map created. Here we go. Alright, so let's dive in. We're going to go ahead and go to game settings first. Voice chat. You want to set voice chat to all. If we set it to all, you'll be able to hear everybody in the voice chat. You guys can communicate, have a good time, and hang out with everybody in the party. That's what these box fights are all about. Teams. I have mine set to custom. People like this idea because in custom, you get to decide the teams. You can create the teams. You can see here I even had to make a little warning that says choose team 1 or 2 and wait for the players to fully respawn before you start. That is a thing. They have to fully respawn or they will not load to the correct team. So you want to make sure you choose team 1 or 2 if you use custom. If you want teams to automatically be chosen, you can go to teams and choose 2. Now, team size, you will have to change if you do that to split evenly because you want to make sure that the teams are split evenly amongst the two. So half the team goes on one side of the box fight and the other half goes on the other side of the box fight. That is why you would absolutely to make sure that team size is split evenly. Default class identifier has nothing to do with box fighting. It's for a different type of game mode, so we're going to ignore that. Same with default, revert to default class. We don't need to worry about that for this mode, so we can leave it at default. Spawn limit 1, right? If you die in box fights. You don't want to have to come back to life, so you want to make sure you set that to spawn limit 1. All right, we're going to go ahead and move along. After last spawn, go to spectator. Now, this is really the only option. You don't want to force people to watch team 1 or you don't want them to go to team 1 or team 2 or anything like that. You want them to just be able to spectate and that's it. You don't want them to come back into the game. Total rounds. I have mine set to 30. You can make this anything you want. I will give you a warning though. If you go past 30, I've noticed the game can start to get a little funky. You'll notice like things won't load properly, the game's been running too long. It's always good to let the game end so you can restart it. So I wouldn't go much farther over 30. Team rotation, you can leave that alone unless you want to rotate teams, guys. You can do a team rotation where every game you rotate to different teams. You can do that. End game on match point, you can leave alone. Team visuals determined at round start, you can leave there at round start. Time limit, none. I have it set to none, but some people like to do storm circles, box fight storm circles. I'm going to go ahead and put that video on the top right for you to click on if you want to learn how to do storm circles. Otherwise, you can set times here. Maybe you want to set a time limit so people aren't in the box fight forever just building, right? You can do a kind of like a storm circle if you want, where it comes and closes in on them. You can create a time limit. Any of those things will get the job done to end the box fight. Fastest time win is disabled. All teams must finish. No, we don't want more than one team to finish. It's box fights, right? So you don't want to set that to yes because then it would basically mean both teams would have to win, which doesn't make sense for this. Win condition, most rounds won, which is perfect. We want that. You could change it to score, but in box fighting, it makes more sense to be rounds since you're a solo and you're fighting for yourself. Even if you're on a team, it's about the rounds won. Eliminations to end, creatures to end, objects to end, collect items to end, score to end. Those things you don't need to worry about. Leave them off. Last standing ends game. Super important, guys. The last person standing ends the game. This is how Fortnite Creative knows that the game is over. When there's only one person left in the box fight, it knows that person won. So you want to make sure you do that. Join in progress, I set it to spawn on next round. I think that's the nice thing to do if somebody joins your game. You don't want them to wait 30 rounds, right? That's ridiculous. You can also choose spawn, but that would spawn somebody in the middle of a game. I don't like that idea because I just feel like that's a little more unfair. They can join on the next round. So I leave it on spawn on next round. Spawn location. You can choose spawn pads, current location, or sky. We don't want people in the sky in box fights. We want them to go on the spawn pads. So we want to set it to spawn pads. Respawn type, individual, yes, because we want everyone to respawn individually. Post-game spawn location, island start, because in our case, the island start is the pre-game lobby area. And I'm going to do another pre-game lobby video soon so you guys understand how that works. Only allow respawn if spawn pads found. Yes, you don't want people to respawn if the game doesn't see spawn pads, because otherwise it's going to respawn them in the sky. We don't want people spawning out of the box fight in the sky in this case. So you want to mark that yes. Auto start, mine is turned off because I allow people to choose their teams. That can take a little bit of time. You can turn an auto start on, some people do. I don't like it, so I turn it off in most of my maps. I'd like the people to be able to start the game when they want to start it. Game start countdown. 3 seconds is the default. I think it's a great place, a great 3 seconds. Leave it there if you'd like. Vehicle trick score doesn't matter here. Player built structures between rounds off. Allow out of bounds on. Allow spectating other teams, no. Elimination score, 0. Assist, 0. Allow friendly fire, no. Guys, that's basically it for these settings. Make sure you go ahead and match those settings if you want to create the perfect box fight. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next category. All right, and now diving into settings. We're going to go ahead and the first few here, we're going to you get to play around with time of day, camera filter, light brightness, light color, fog thickness, fog color. These are all creative adjustments, so go ahead and change these according to your map. The defaults are fine, but you may want to change the different time of day. I made mine 1 a.m. Starting health, max health, starting shields, and max shields. Now, guys, I left these at 100% on everything. 100% health, 100 health, 100% shields, 100 shields. Infinite ammo. I turn this off because in the other video on how to create a box fight, I teach you how to go ahead and put ammo in a different way, which I'll link up at the top right. If you haven't watched that video yet, I suggest you watch that first. Infinite resources off. Max building resources, 500. Perfect. All right, so we don't want to go too far over that, right? Because we don't want people to be able to build forever. Harvest style doesn't really matter here because we're not doing anything. You could do battle royale or creative there, but the harvest style doesn't matter since we're not harvesting in box fights. So harvest multiplier you can leave alone. Allow aim assist. This is up to you guys. I love it on because I'm a controller player, and without it, I am useless. Allow building all. Basically allows player to build with stone, metal, or wood. Yes, I want to be able to do that. Allow to edit, default. Yeah, I'm going to leave all these settings alone so they're like battle royale. Building can destroy environment. No. The reason for this is you don't want anyone to build in a way that may break the walls of the box, and then they're allowed to escape the box and go into the rest of the world, which isn't the whole point of a box fight is to keep people in. Environment damage, player build only. What that means is you can only break players' builds, and that's it. So only their mats you can break down. Structure damage, all. This means that you are able to damage anything in the game, and you want to make sure you set it to all. That way they can destroy their mats and the opponent's mats. So we want to make sure we set that to all. All right. So then we're going to go ahead and move on. The next one isn't too important here with weapon destruction. You can leave it 100% because we don't want to go lower than that. Otherwise, weapon destruction will have worse multipliers. Pickaxe destruction we'll leave alone. PvP pickaxe will leave alone. Down but not out, on. I leave this on in my box fights. You may not want to. I leave it on. That way if somebody gets knocked, you can res them. Maybe you want them to die instantly to speed up the match of a box fight. You can turn that off. But if you leave it on, it allows people to res. Eliminated players' items. Eliminated players' items drop. Yes. So maybe they had some slurp fish or something. You want to be able to take those items and stay alive longer. You want to go ahead and turn those to drop. You can also choose keep or delete. Delete means they will completely delete out of that person's inventory. Keep is interesting. If you leave that on every time they respawn, they'll keep getting more of that inventory. So you don't necessarily want to ever do keep in box fights. You would only want to do drop or delete. Delete would mean the next round, when they die, they won't take their weapons with them and they won't drop either. Allow item drop, yes. If they don't want an item, maybe they just want the shotgun in their inventory, allow them to drop the items they want to drop. Allow item pickup, yeah. So if people are dropping items and you want to grab that item, allow them to pick it up. Maybe you don't want that to happen. You can turn that off. It's up to you guys. All right, moving on. Respawn time, 3 seconds. You can make it shorter if you want things to speed up for the next round, but 3 seconds makes sense for me. Spawn immunity time, default. Fall damage, we're gonna leave to off. Gravity is normal. I don't see a reason in box fights to change gravity, but you can. Jump fatigue, I wanna leave on because that's how Battle Royale plays. I want it to feel very realistic to Battle Royale. Glider redeploy, off. For this, we wanna leave it off, right? We don't want to spend so much time, we don't want to do glider redeploy in this kind of match. Player flight, no, that is literally to give players the ability to fly on your map. You do not want that. Neither do you want player flight sprint, but it doesn't matter if that's on because player flight is off. Same with flight speed, doesn't matter. Player names and locations, team only. Guys, if you change that, you'll be able to see where the other team is with their names or little pointers over their heads. You don't want that. Maybe you do, but with box fights, part of the illusion is hiding, right? So you want to make sure you're hiding that. All right, health granted on elimination, 50. Wood granted on elimination, 50. These are just little perks to kill somebody to stay alive longer, right? So I like these. I added these. You can too. You can add other things as well if you'd like, but we're going to leave the rest at 0 if you're following along. And the rest of these don't really matter. Self-damage on hit amount doesn't matter. All these self-damage, these are for a different type of game mode, which we'll go into in another video. But right now, none of this applies to box fighting. So we're going to go ahead and keep continuing down now. Self-damage, target filter, all these self-damage things are still part of that other game mode. Allow manual respawning. If they get trapped on top of the building or something and by accident, yes, you want to leave it on in box fights. That way they can respawn back into the box fight and get whatever they need fixed, which is pretty cool. So I really like that option a lot. It's really a nice option. Show wood resource count, absolutely. You want to be able to see that. You can leave the stone and metal one on as well. It's not relevant for this game mode. You could turn them off if you wanted. But whatever, it just looks like the regular UI and those won't have any resources in them. So I just leave it alone. Maximum equipment slots, you can actually make more than one, but I'm going to leave it to don't override. All right, we're going to go ahead and move over to UI. Timer direction, countdown. Game winner, display time 3 seconds. All of these set to 3 seconds. This will keep things consistent and moving fast. Game, score, round winner, round score. HUD info type, lead to none. Show cumulative stat value on HUD, no. Show resource feed on eliminations, no. Scoreboard win condition, health. Guys, this is an important one. You want it to go by health. The amount of health you're taking off of someone will show how you're doing and performing. Next would be eliminations. Tiebreaker 2 would be assists. If I'm moving too fast in this video, just feel free to pause and backtrack, and you can go ahead and rewatch parts again and get more help. But I am going through this quick because I know my attention span is really slow and I get bored of things really quick, so I want to move through this fast because I know yours is probably the same. Map screen display, scoreboard. Yes, we want it to be scoreboard. We don't want to see the map because this isn't an adventure map, so we want to leave it at scoreboard. You can leave show cumulative scoreboard to no. Show island watermark on. Game call out, you win, you lose. You can leave that by default for box fights. Victory sound, you can leave default. All these you can leave default. Custom victory call out, you can do something in there. You can say whatever you want. You can type up your own message in here. Come up with something unique or cool. It's pretty neat. I have one where it says Camp Oh No for a Camp Zone Wars map that I made. You can have like your friend's player map and have customized defeat call out and victory call outs that only they would understand. Guys, these are the settings in box fights. I really hope you enjoyed everything here. The last thing I will go ahead and remind you to do is back up your islands, guys. Make sure you're backing up all the creations you're creating. I haven't made any changes in 138 days on this one. Shame on me for not backing up, but I actually haven't made any changes. It's been out for a while. But make sure you are backing up your island. I cannot stress that enough. Thank you guys so much for being here again today. If you like this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll keep creating videos just like this one. Thank you guys so much, and take care.